Very good morning. Generally speaking, whenever we talk about the Salmonella, this is a enteric disease which is generally seen at the onset of monsoons. So this Salmonella is a gram-negative organism which is a coliform. When we say about the coliforms, they are the organisms that are the resident flora of the intestine. They are motile, gram-negative, facultative anaerobes, and they are non-lactose fermenting, and they resist bile salts, and they also produce the H2S. So in the picture, you can see that the gram-negative nature of the organisms as well as the H2S production in the triple sugar ion agar slant that is seen there. And then the motile nature of the organism can be observed with the flagella that is observed in the picture, followed by the black colored colonies on the Salmonella shigella agar, which is selective media for the isolation of the Salmonella and for the separation of the shigella. The same organism can be seen as black colored colonies on the DCA, that is the deoxycholic citrate agar. So here in the picture, we also see that there is the picture of a lady who is called as the Typhoid Mary. And this is basically, we are talking about the Typhoid Mary because the disease is mainly dependent on the carrier state of the person. So when we talk about the carrier state, this is an important factor, because most of the times the person will be asymptomatic, but they have the capacity to transmit or spread this particular disease. So here in this picture, the lady is Typhoid Mary, who is also called as Mary Merlon. Her profession was to cook. So she used to cook in the US, and then she was an asymptomatic carrier. So because of this asymptomatic carrier state, she was not suffering from typhoid herself, but she was able to transmit this disease or spread this disease among the population. So in all her life as a cook, for around 11 years, she was responsible for around 110 cases being spread through the different households where she used to work as a cook. She was later imprisoned, and she died in prison. But the carrier state is very important, because the person will not actually suffer from the disease, but will be able to spread this disease among the population. So once again, it's a problem for the physicians to identify the carrier state, because the person who is a asymptomatic carrier will not reach the physician for any sort of discomfort, but they will be spreading this particular disease. So talking about the classification and taxonomy of Salmonella, the old type, which refers to the serotyping and the biochemical assays used to name the individual species within the genus. Like, for example, the Salmonella enteritis, which causes the enteritis, and the Salmonella choleraceus, and the Salmonella typhi, which causes the typhoid. So there are around 2,400 serotypes of this particular organism, which is responsible for the cause of this particular disease. And the bioserotyping, that is, when we talk about the bioserotyping, we are talking about the strains within the Salmonella typhimurium, which will have their own features based on the different types of antigens that they carry. So the newer methods of techniques that is required for the identification of this organism shows only two species, that is the Salmonella enteritica and then the Salmonella bongori. So most of these pathogens causes the enteric fever. So talking about the epidemiology of the Salmonella infection, so it causes the enteritis, septicemia, and the enteric fever, and the asymptomatic carriage, which I have already spoken before. So animals are also the main reservoirs of the human disease, except for the bacteria responsible for typhoid and paratyphoid fevers, because man is the only reservoirs of this particular disease. But the organisms which are present on the different animals, they're capable of causing the disease in the humans also, or you can say that we are susceptible to the animal strains also. So there are many numerous virulence factors that are responsible for this particular disease. So transmission is mainly due to the spread of this disease amongst the population through the spread of the fecal-oral route. So ingestion of this contaminated food, especially the poultry, eggs, dairy products, the direct fecal-oral spread in the children. So anyone who's consuming the food contaminated with large number of the salmonella, particularly the children younger than 1 year old, and the elderly patients with reduced gastric acids, and patients with the AIDS. So when we talk about the young children and the elderly, this is because the immunological status of these two ends of the age groups will be dwindling, and when it comes to the AIDS patients, their immunological status has come down, so they are susceptible to this particular disease. So this Salmonella typhi is mainly seen in foreign travelers or individuals exposed to the carriers. So this does not have any geographical boundaries. You can see the spread of this disease, or the disease is seen worldwide, and this is mainly seen in the commonly in the warm months. So these asymptomatic carriers have to be identified, and a symptomatic treatment rather than the antibiotics is very much required, because this is a disease that is spread through the fecal-oral route, where there will be the presence of this organism in the individuals within 7 to 14 hours of ingestion of this particular organism or the contaminated food. And then once this gets into the body, it causes the severe gastric disturbances, that is passing of loose stools, and this will bring about the certain discomfort.